Hey you, welcome back to Secrets with Maeve, the space for the conversations we usually keep to ourselves. I'm Maeve. Today we're talking about something I know so many of us struggle with in silence. Stop ignoring these 4 signs she's cheating hard truth. Let's get into it. Have you ever had that gnawing feeling deep inside? The one you try to ignore, whispering that something isn't right, that quiet voice in your mind that tells you she's hiding something. Most men dismiss it. Most men pretend it's paranoia. But let me tell you something. They are almost always right. Today, I'm going to show you the subtle signs that a woman who cheats leaves behind, whether she thinks you notice them or not. And I promise, once you see them, you'll never look at your relationship the same way again. The first sign is emotional distance disguised as independence. You know the type, the woman who suddenly starts needing more space, claiming she's focusing on herself while you're left feeling like you're losing her. She says she wants personal growth, hobbies, time with friends, but pay attention to the underlying message. She's creating emotional gaps. Cheating isn't just about sex. It's about filling a void that's already there. She may still be affectionate, still texting you, still making you believe she loves you. But the real intimacy, the deep connection starts to erode. Her attention is fragmented. She's giving pieces of herself, not the whole, and that fragmentation is rarely accidental. It's a quiet shift in energy, a red flag most men ignore until it's too late. The second sign is hypersensitivity combined with defensiveness. You might notice that small innocent questions suddenly ignite anger or defensiveness. Why? Because guilt breeds reaction. A woman who is hiding her infidelity will often overreact to tiny slights, often creating the illusion that she's being unfairly criticized. She might accuse you of being controlling, jealous, or paranoid. But beneath her words is fear, the fear of being caught. This is a classic psychological pattern. Projection. She projects her secrecy onto you, making you feel irrational, confused, and anxious. And you start questioning yourself, doubting your instincts, and slowly losing trust in what your mind has been warning you about. The third sign is secretive phone behavior. But it's more than just a locked phone. Notice how she guards her time and attention, constantly checking her notifications privately, taking calls in another room, or suddenly deleting apps you've never noticed before. She might laugh at something on her phone and hide it from you, or get defensive if you ask a casual question. The key is subtlety. She doesn't need to be overt. It's in the small, almost imperceptible acts of concealment. A cheat doesn't scream betrayal. She whispers it in ways you almost miss. Finally, the fourth sign in this first phase is sudden changes in intimacy patterns. Sex may become infrequent, rushed, or mechanical, or in contrast, it could become overly intense, almost theatrical, as if she's trying to compensate for the guilt or fill her own internal void. This is often misunderstood. Men think absence of desire is the only indicator, but sometimes it's the exaggeration, the performance, the overcorrection that signals something hidden. She may cling emotionally at times, then withdraw unexpectedly, leaving you in constant mental turbulence. If you've noticed even one of these signs, pay attention, because cheaters rarely reveal themselves through confession. They expose themselves through patterns. Patterns are truth disguised in motion. And patterns, once recognized, can save you from heartbreak, or at least prepare you to see the reality clearly. Now, here's a question for you to think about as you watch the rest of this video. If you were given a set of behaviors, some harmless and some warning signs, could you spot the one that always points to betrayal? Keep that in mind, because it will be crucial for understanding the rest of the signs. If this is hitting too close to home, I need you to pause, breathe, and really absorb this. This isn't about paranoia. It's about awareness. And awareness is your first line of defense. Now that you understand the early signs, let's go deeper. Cheating isn't random. It's a process, a psychology that manipulates both her mind and yours. And men often miss it because it's disguised as normal behavior or worse, as love. The next pattern is manipulation through guilt and control. A woman who cheats will often use subtle guilt to keep you compliant without ever admitting the truth. She might say, "I feel like you don't understand me," or "I just need a break," making you question your own behavior. Suddenly, your instincts, those gut feelings that were screaming at you earlier, feel irrational. You start apologizing for things you didn't do, adjusting your own behavior, bending over backward to keep her happy. And all the while, the real secret remains invisible. Pay attention to shifts in conversation patterns. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship, but a cheater will slowly change how they talk to you. Questions that once felt intimate now feel casual, distant, or rehearsed. She may respond with vague stories, vague emotions, or even laugh off your serious questions. This is her creating distance, a psychological buffer between you and her secret life. And here's the trick. The more she distances herself, the more you try to reach her, unknowingly feeding the very cycle she created. Another critical tactic is overcompensation with affection or charm. And this is one of the most misunderstood signals. Men assume increased attention means loyalty, but it can mean the opposite. A woman hiding infidelity often tries to balance the scales in her mind. She cheats, but then showers affection to quiet her guilt or control your perception. It's a dangerous trap because it creates cognitive dissonance. You see love, feel intimacy, yet deep down, your intuition senses a mismatch. This dissonance clouds judgment, making it harder to recognize the truth until patterns become undeniable. Then there's her social circle and digital footprint. Observe how she interacts with friends and acquaintances and notice her behavior online. Does she become secretive about posts, likes, or messages? Does she avoid sharing plans or names of friends you haven't met? Cheating is rarely done without support structures, either physical or digital. And when men ignore these signs, they allow the illusion of normalcy to mask betrayal. Let's talk about emotional energy and inconsistency. A woman who cheats often exhibits fluctuating moods, sudden bursts of affection, or unexplained irritability. These aren't random. They're emotional echoes of her other life. You may feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, constantly guessing her next move. And this is exactly how she maintains control, by keeping you off balance, uncertain, and emotionally reactive. Finally, notice her reaction to accountability. If you gently question her about small inconsistencies, notice how she responds. Does she redirect, accuse you of paranoia, or turn the question into a debate about your flaws? Cheaters are experts at avoiding direct answers while keeping the relationship intact. They turn suspicion back on the partner, making you doubt yourself and suppress your instincts. This is a psychological tactic that keeps you blinded, not by love, but by carefully constructed confusion. Men often ignore these patterns because they're subtle, easy to rationalize, and emotionally exhausting. But recognizing them isn't about distrust, it's about clarity. These behaviors form a roadmap. Once you see it, you understand her psychology, her choices, and how your relationship is truly functioning. Here's the personal question for you to ponder right now. How much of what she tells you is shaped to manipulate your perception versus reflect reality? Think carefully, because your answer will change how you interpret every sign we discuss next. By now, you've seen the emotional and psychological patterns. But there's something most men completely overlook: the physical and behavioral signs that almost always betray a cheater. These are the things she can't fully control. Tiny habits, slips, and micro actions that scream the truth louder than words ever could. The first is incongruence between words and actions. She may tell you she loves you, she's committed, she wants a future with you, but her behavior tells a different story. Perhaps she's suddenly unavailable during evenings, frequently busy with vague plans, or consistently distracted when you're together. Watch for repeated patterns. If her words promise closeness, but her actions consistently withhold it, there's a fracture. Cheating creates a hidden life, and her subconscious slips in subtle ways. A lingering text, a call she won't answer in front of you, or her attention quickly shifting when you enter the room. Your gut notices it, even if your mind tries to rationalize it. Next is changes in her appearance, but not just obvious ones. Men often assume a cheater starts dressing sexy to attract someone else. But the shift is more psychological than superficial. She may start caring more about looks in ways that feel performative or inconsistent with previous patterns. Hair, nails, outfits, even perfume. These aren't random improvements. They're signals, often for someone outside your relationship. Pay attention to the sudden hyper-awareness of presentation coupled with emotional detachment. It's a psychological pattern that's hard to ignore once you see it. Then there's increased secrecy around her routines. This goes beyond phone usage. Does she suddenly insist on driving herself somewhere, taking private paths, or spending unexplained hours away? Does she avoid sharing details of her day that were once commonplace? Cheating isn't just about hiding encounters. It's about hiding the patterns, the predictability, the transparency you once had. Every small concealment is a red flag. You'll also notice behavioral microtells, subtle nervous habits, repetitive excuses, or even overly polite defensiveness when questioned. Watch how she reacts to simple things, text notifications, messages from male colleagues, late night calls. A guilty conscience manifests in micro expressions, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, sudden defensiveness. These tiny cracks in her composure are the subconscious truth trying to escape. Men who fail to see these signs often dismiss them as stress or mood swings, but repeated microtells are rarely coincidental. Then comes the rhythm of intimacy, changing again, but more subtle than the obvious extremes. She may initiate less frequently, act distracted during sex, or avoid emotional closeness afterward. Or conversely, she may overcompensate with intimacy, not for love, but to quiet guilt. Cheating creates a push and pull pattern, moments of closeness followed by inexplicable withdrawal. The rhythm itself becomes a sign, a hidden code you instinctively feel but struggle to articulate. Finally, patterns of avoidance. If she consistently avoids accountability, plans disappear without notice, or she becomes resistant to shared responsibilities, it's not laziness, it's a psychological shield. Cheaters often avoid situations that could expose their hidden life. From social gatherings to routine check-ins, and every time she dodges responsibility, your intuitive alarm should sound. This avoidance is a behavioral echo of her secret, and ignoring it is how most men end up blindsided. Here's a truth most men hate hearing. These signs are subtle because cheating thrives in nuance. It's never screaming betrayal. It whispers it through actions, gestures, and shifts in energy. The question now isn't whether you see these signs. It's whether you trust your own perception when they appear. So here's the personal question to think about as you reflect on your own relationship. When she smiles or laughs, is it directed at you, or is it a mask hiding a separate story? Answer carefully, because your next insight will hinge on the honesty of that reflection. Now that you can spot the physical and behavioral tells, it's time to understand the mind games she plays, the invisible string she pulls to keep you unaware while she hides a secret life. This is where most men get trapped. Cheating isn't just about opportunity, it's about control, manipulation, and psychological mastery. The first trick is gaslighting disguised as care. She may dismiss your concerns, saying things like, "You're overthinking," or Why do you always doubt me? On the surface, it sounds reasonable, even comforting, but underneath, it's a calculated way to distort reality. Gaslighting erodes your confidence, your instincts, and eventually your ability to trust your own perceptions. A man who ignores the warning signs because he's convinced he's imagining things is exactly where she wants him. Next is emotional triangulation. She may compare you to other men, either subtly or overtly, creating insecurity while making herself appear innocent or desirable. My friend said this, or he does this better. These are psychological nudges designed to make you feel like you need to earn her loyalty constantly, while the attention of others fills the gap she's creating. It's a power play. She keeps you chasing validation while her own attention is elsewhere. Another tactic is selective vulnerability. She will share intimate details about her day, her fears, even her insecurities, but carefully. The information she shares is designed to make you feel close and trusted, while the details that would reveal her infidelity are deliberately withheld. This partial intimacy tricks you into believing the connection is real, even as the foundation of the relationship shifts quietly under your feet. Then comes love bombing and withdrawal cycles. She will alternate between intense affection and sudden detachment. One day she's clingy, texting, laughing, and connecting. The next, she's cold, distant, and unavailable. These cycles are not random. They're designed to create psychological dependency. You crave the closeness after the distance, becoming emotionally hooked and more blind to the deception. The push and pull keeps you mentally off balance, constantly seeking reassurance while she protects her secret. Pay attention to shifts in accountability. A woman who cheats will expertly redirect blame and rewrite narratives. Minor mistakes become monumental, and your concerns get reframed as irrational fears. She may accuse you of jealousy, paranoia, or overreacting, but this is a calculated defense. She knows that if you're busy defending yourself, you won't notice the patterns that reveal the truth. Then there's subtle isolation. Notice if she starts distancing you from mutual friends, discouraging conversations with certain people, or controlling what you know about her social life. Isolation doesn't always happen overtly. Sometimes it's just small nudges repeated over time designed to reduce your external perspectives. With fewer reference points, you're left interpreting her behavior through her lens, which is exactly where she wants you. Finally, understand that cheating is strategic, not emotional in the way men expect. It's about opportunity, psychological control, and protecting the secret, not about being caught in the act. Every manipulation, every shift in energy, every subtle inconsistency is a deliberate choice. Here's a question you need to ask yourself right now. How often do you excuse her behavior? Because it feels like love rather than facing the possibility that it's manipulation. Your answer will reveal whether you are seeing reality or the carefully constructed illusion she's crafted. Hold on to this thought as we move to the final section, because the last set of signs I reveal will tie everything together. The unmistakable patterns that expose infidelity even when she thinks she's invisible. Now it all comes together. You've seen the emotional distance, the behavioral tells, the manipulations, and the subtle psychological games. But there are 4 unmistakable signs that a woman who cheats always leaves behind. Patterns that no amount of charm or excuses can erase. These are the truths she can't hide. The first unmistakable sign is the pattern of secrecy combined with inconsistency. This is more than occasional privacy. This is a lifestyle of concealment. She forgets to mention plans, inconsistently answers questions about her day, and changes stories slightly each time. The key is not the isolated incidents, it's the pattern. Lies, omissions, and half-truths create an invisible trail that repeats over time. Men often ignore this because they want to believe in her words, but patterns are far more reliable than explanations. The second sign is emotional withdrawal paired with sporadic affection. This is the classic push and pull. She may withdraw affection, intimacy, or emotional availability for no clear reason, then suddenly overwhelm you with attention or even love bombing. It's not spontaneity, it's guilt, distraction, or overcompensation. Cheaters don't operate randomly. They operate strategically. Your intuition senses the disconnect between what you see and what you feel. Pay attention. This oscillation is a psychological fingerprint of infidelity. The third sign is hyper-awareness of your reactions. A woman hiding a secret will constantly monitor your behavior, often subtly. She notices what angers you, what makes you suspicious, what makes you relaxed. Every action is measured against the risk of exposure. This is why questions about her day, casual remarks, or even a glance at her phone trigger disproportionate reactions. Her subconscious mind is in survival mode, protecting the hidden truth while she tries to convince you everything is normal. You feel the tension, the energy shift, but struggle to put it into words. That tension is reality speaking to you. Finally, the fourth and most damning sign is displacement of attention and investment. A cheating woman invests energy, time, and emotional bandwidth elsewhere, sometimes subtly, sometimes blatantly, but never fully in the relationship she claims to value. You may notice less communication, more excuses, selective availability, or a sudden obsession with appearance or social image. The combination of attention diversion and pattern of concealment is unmistakable. This is the ultimate truth she can't hide. Her heart and energy are no longer fully present. Men often make the mistake of rationalizing these signs, blaming stress, fatigue, or coincidence. But when these four signals align, they form a psychological map, an undeniable blueprint of betrayal. Recognition is your defense. Awareness is your power. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect. How many of these signs have you seen in your own relationship? Which ones made your stomach tighten the most? I want you to answer honestly in the comments below. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe for more insights into female psychology, and share this with a friend who needs to hear the truth. Your awareness could save them from heartbreak or confusion. And here's the personal equation for you. Take the number of signs you've noticed in your relationship, multiply it by how often you ignored your gut instinct, then subtract the times you rationalized her behavior. What number do you get? Post your answer in the comments. I promise it's more revealing than you think. Remember, men, understanding her psychology isn't about distrust. It's about clarity, self-respect, and making informed choices before it's too late. Don't let subtle deception control your life. Recognize the patterns, trust your instincts, and act with awareness.